and from a very moral perspective. So this evening we're very fortunate to have Father Frans Thoolen here. As I said, he's a Dutch SMA. He's prominent, certainly in the circles of the Vatican. He's advises the Pope on certain issues, especially related to these issues that he will talk on tonight. After his talk, then we will have an opportunity for some questions and answers. And also, we're very fortunate this evening to have the superintendent with us, Superintendent Donovan.
County Executive, Father.
County Executive, sorry, you see. We hope, thank you very much. So, and she will also say a few words about perhaps what's going on in Bergen County. So, Frans, I turn it over to you.
Migration is not far away. In fact, most of your ancestors arrived here as migrants, as refugees, or as slaves. And nowadays we would say human trafficking. Ordinary people trying to make the best of life. The times between then and now is not that much difference. Migrants, refugees, and trafficked persons are people like you and me. Human beings, ordinary people. People who are known by names, by their loved ones, whose faces are familiar to those in the neighborhood. Persons with dreams and expectations, with fear and disappointments. There is one difference. The circumstances are different. They have to flee their homes because of persecution, mere survival, or trying to make a living for themselves and their family. And now they are in this situation, they face problems and they should be addressed. The fundamental question to raise is, how do you look at reality? How do you view the world? Which kind of spectacles do you have? It is important to know because it will subsequently determine our action. In fact, it is decisive. A different view on reality leads to a different interpretation of that same reality. And the action chosen will as a result be different, and also the priorities. I just give an example. The situation of elephants. Years ago, their protection was approved. Trade in ivory became illegal because the elephants are an endangered species. Their numbers are decreasing. Early morning, in a rural area in East Africa, a woman farmer enters her field. Everything is smashed down and destroyed. An elephant has invaded her field. Her reaction will be, damned elephant. For her, it is one elephant too many. This also relates to each of us and to our organizations. How we perceive reality will determine our action. I certainly have my own spectacles, not only with these, but also with a view on reality. As a missionary and as a staff person in the Vatican Curia, and of course also the work I did in the past for many years in justice and peace issues, and also as chaplain to undocumented migrants. But why is the Catholic Church involved in migration? And I said it is in our DNA. The early Christian community in Rome was distinct, and especially one element made them different. And that was the idea of hospitality. If somebody didn't have a place to go, he was welcomed in that community. And that was not only done to their own members, but regardless the background of the person. They would spend time, energy, and money on this. And it was noted by outsiders. And it was written about by outsiders. Aristotle of Athens in the 2nd century clearly described the behavior of the faithful with those who are in trouble. And he writes, when Christians see a stranger, they lead him into their homes and rejoice with him as a brother. When a poor man dies, all give according to their possibilities for his funeral, for his burial, If somebody is poor, they fast 2 or 3 days, then invite them. These testimonies are not coming from Christians, they are coming from pagans, like the pagan writer Lucian of Samosata in his publication, The Death of Peregrinus, and he writes about charity. Their founder, the founder of the Christians, persuaded them that they are all brothers. The early church in Rome had developed intervention strategies designed to help foreigners and other categories of needy people. And this was copied later on by the Emperor of Rome, Julian, in 362. He provided, copying the attitude of the Christians, arrangements for reception for foreigners. Perhaps this historical fact is somehow new for you. However, the biblical texts, you all know. I was a stranger and you welcomed me. The protection of foreigners stands here at the same level as God's care for the poor, the widows and the orphans. And Jesus confirms his presence in a special way in the hungry, the thirsty, the stranger, the sick, the prisoner. What they wrote was not that new. It was already based on the Jewish tradition. The stranger should be treated in the same way as the Israelites. A concern for them, based on justice. And if the foreigner is subject to oppression, exploitation and discrimination, this was considered to be against the law of God. And the Israelites were frequently reminded of God's special concern for the weak and ordered not to molest them. They were not to be abused and were to receive equal treatment before the law. The Jewish tradition and the Christians both want that religion has to correspond to a certain way of life. Later on, this idea of hospitality was extended, and it is not without reasons that in the Middle Ages, hospitals, old age homes, as well as charity works started from the Christian communities. From the very beginning, there was a concern for the weak and the foreigner. And the stranger is welcomed into a safe, personal, comfortable place, a place of respect, acceptance, and friendship. Over time, changes appeared, and gradually it was more and more structured, and about 150 years ago, we got the social teachings of the Church with principles like solidarity, the common good. And the vision of society is individual human beings are the foundation, the cause and the end of every social institution. Every person is precious, and people are more important than things and the measure of the value of every institution. Solidarity is linked to the understanding that we are one human family. Whatever our national, racial, ethnic, economic, or ideological differences, we depend on one another. We are our brothers and sisters keepers wherever they live. Solidarity is seen as working out of love and justice in practice. I cannot help it, but I conclude here this part with a stating of Pope Benedict when he says, welcoming refugees and offering them hospitality is for everyone a rightful gesture of human solidarity, so that they do not feel isolated as a result of intolerance and indifference. Each time and each situation requests that an adequate answer will be given.